The Paladins of Voltron is a part of the Soon-to-be-named network and the Transmissions Podcast Network. Check them out at soon-to-be-named-network.com and transmissionspodcast.com.
Welcome to the Paladins of Voltron, an unofficial. You threw me off with a drink.
I was trying to do it for the camera. I'm sorry.
No. Okay, that's fine. Welcome to the Paladins of Voltron, an unofficial podcast about the Netflix original series, Voltron Legendary Defender. I'm Jeremy, and with me as always is Jason. How you doing, Jason?
Well, I'm not going to pick my mug up again, that's for sure. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How about you, sir?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
So this episode, we're going to be looking at Season 3, Episode 5, The Journey. But before we get into that, I'd like to say if you'd like to leave us some feedback, you can send us an email at feedback@povpodcast.com. There's too many podcasts that start with P.
Yeah.
Twitter is POV_podcast. Facebook is POV podcast. And you could just also leave a comment on our website for the episode. So getting into this episode, this was directed by Stephen Chang-on and written by Joshua Hamilton. And the story starts out with Shiro waking up in a Galra lab of some sort. He's got longer hair and it looks like he's been captive for a while. Extremely weak, he escapes, but as he does, he sees himself on a table in another room. And he also hears someone saying, Operation Quran Stage 1 successful, begin Stage 2. But then the Galra forces are on him and he has to run again. He steals a small shuttle and escapes, but the shuttle is damaged during the escape. As he crashes, the Galra commander notifies HQ and tells them that Operation Quran Stage 3 has begun. Shiro crashes on an ice planet, and he has to free himself from his ship before it falls into a chasm. Eventually, he takes shelter in the skeleton of some huge beast, and he uses his artificial hand to cauterize a leg wound that he had, and then he moves on. Eventually, he finds a hot spring and drinks some of the water before being noticed by a huge crab-like creature. And as he's about to be killed by the creature, it's fired upon by two mysterious creatures. Passes out as they capture him. He has a vision or a memory of someone shining a light in his eye, saying, Subject Y0XT39 has a normal response to optic stimuli, approved for use in Operation Quran. Once the two rebels that found him realize that he's awake, they confront him and accuse him of being a traitor. They aren't convinced of who he says he is and can't believe that anyone could actually escape a Galra cruiser. On the Galra HQ or headquarters or main flagship, or I'm not sure exactly where it is, but Hagar is concerned with Lotor's leadership plans, and she orders a Galra commander to shadow him. Lotor's crew later on has been detecting an anomaly over the last day, and he suspects that it's another Galra ship. He orders his team to fire around the anomaly, and it reveals the Galra fighter, and they bring him in with a tractor beam. Back with Shiro, the rebels are manning a small listening outpost, and they overhear a message about Voltron fighting Galra near Thacerix, which is a system not far from them. Shiro hears this too and finally escapes. Eventually, he's able to convince them, as when he beats them, he doesn't actually use their guns against them, and he tosses the gun back at them. In one case, quite literally, he tosses the gun at them. They will allow him to take their only shuttle to try to get back to Voltron. He uses it to get near a Galra cruiser in orbit, which has automated systems that destroy the ship. And Shiro, who had ejected beforehand, sneaks inside by getting onto the guns as they were retracting back into the ship. Gara's ship goes into hyperspace and arrives at the battle, and Shiro sneaks into one of the fighters, but they arrive too late and the fighters aren't being deployed. Shiro goes to plan B and just starts shooting on everything and then blasting out of the ship. He tries chasing Voltron, but Voltron was too fast, and Shiro just follows the same trajectory and tries to catch up. At Gara HQ, Lotor demands that Hagar stop sending her cronies after him. She says that the Gara Empire needs his leadership, and Lotor says while he is the leader, he is not his father, and he walks out. Days later, Shiro is nearly out of fuel and oxygen and has given up when the Black Lion notifies Keith that it's found Shiro, and the castle ship shows up and saves Shiro right in the nick of time. So that it was a pretty packed episode and a lot of questions out of it. But what was your initial thought of it, Jason?
Well, I was happy to see I was happy that we didn't go a season without Shiro. Because while I liked the dynamic of what they were doing with the Paladins, I didn't want to have to wonder too long, what happened to him. Now, granted, we still have no clue whatsoever what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're the way you spoke about the whole scene himself. We'll get into that. Yeah, did he? What? So, and yeah, again, we get two ancillary characters introduced that are just they're good. They add, and they're well written, and
it does set up something that happens in season 4 where we run into another listening outpost type place. So it sets that there is stuff like that out there on the edges of space. That's
true. I had forgotten about that because I watched season 4 when it first came out months ago.
Yeah, I'm still catching up.
Because we're good with releasing with our releasing schedule. But yeah, there's mystery there. We don't really know what they're alluding to when they say he's a subject, and is any of this before he was with Voltron when they first had him as a captive and he was the champion and stuff. There's a lot to be explained there. And we don't get any of that this episode, obviously. And yeah, we get Shiro. Shiro being Shiro. Like you said, he doesn't attack. He has his two captors. He doesn't. Well, he kind of attacks them.
He does not apply lethal force.
Right. The gun to the face was just awesome. And then apparently
the guy's like, well, it wasn't the first time. Won't be the last time.
I know. And apparently Shiro's arm/hand can absorb or deflect energy beams, which is good to know. He's pulling the Darth Vader "won't you join us for dinner" move from Empire. Not a pun, just so that's clear. Yeah, so good episode. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah. I enjoyed this episode, especially watching it again before I wrote this. I had forgotten so much about this.
Yeah.
The Hagar bits, I feel like they didn't really need to be in this particular episode, but they were put in there because it's setting up stuff.
Yeah.
For later on, and you need to know that Hagar is not happy with Lotor's lack of action.
Yeah, I had no problem. I think they were fine in the episode. I think it was okay to pull away from the whole everything going on with Shiro. So
yeah, but it was interesting seeing, there was no other members of the Voltron Force on there at all.
I don't think there's any members of the Voltron Force in the show, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry, the Paladins of Voltron.
I just don't want to get any letters from people who don't like Voltron Force.
But anyway, even when we see Keith, he has no. Well, I think he has one line saying "we found him" or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try to unpack as much as we can from the beginning of this.
All right.
I was very careful on this rewatch to pay as much attention as I could to what was going on with Shiro at the beginning, and anytime he has kind of a flashback. First time I watched it, I thought maybe there was like a clone of Shiro that he was seeing in the room, but
That was my initial thoughts too.
But upon further inspection, they don't do it at the beginning, but when he comes out of what am convinced is a flashback, there's like that flash of light and it fades back to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's the case. When he first wakes up, there's a Galra at the console with a mask on, and then that Galra fades away.
Well, he says Ulaz at that moment.
I forgot about. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Ulaz helped him initially escape back before season 1.
Right. Okay, that's interesting then. Okay. Because so maybe that was also that was him waking up. It was also kind of a flashback to when, or no,
I think that was a flashback as he was waking up.
Okay, that's in the way he kind of fades away. I think that makes sense. I gotta hand it to the show to not lay it out right, or not be subtle about it. But there's definitely a mystery that makes you wonder what's going on. And I think later when he's in the fighter on his trying to follow Voltron, he has more flashbacks and stuff to, I think, when they were going to start when he can start phase 1, I believe they said.
Well, no, phase 1. Phase 1 was when he first got up with the long hair. That's where he heard stage 1 successful.
Okay.
When he was first escaping, and I think that was when he looked into another room and he had another flashback of when he first woke up with the short hair.
Okay, I was just conflating those two. Gotcha. All right, that's fine. Also, one other thing I'd like to point out. So what? He probably just peed himself for 7 days in the fighter. I don't think they come with bathrooms.
I think the suits have something in them.
We don't know. I mean, look, if I'm alone in a fighter, and
they didn't have water, also.
That's true. A week without water, God, that's rough. Look, I'm not gonna judge. If he had to do it, he had to do it. But
yeah,
it was just I didn't think that the first time. Or wait, I think I might watch. I think my third watch through of the episodes. But this time I was definitely like, oh man, that's a long time to sit in one seat, and not be able to do anything about stuff. So
yeah. What do you think this Operation Quran is?
Great question.
Is my suspicions? I don't know.
I mean, if it's something where like a brainwashing or making him a sleeper agent or something,
that's kind of where I'm thinking.
Yeah, but if that's the case, see, we have to be careful what we say. Let's just say that there's nothing I've seen, and I'm not going to say how far I've watched, but there's nothing I've seen that indicates that we have any idea what it is. And boy, if you want to activate a sleeper agent, I can think of a few good chances to do that. So, could they be duplicating like an army of champions or something? Maybe. And they do say phase 3 is starting when he escapes the ship, and they damage the ship, but they don't blow him up or anything. So
yeah, I think the Galra want him with the rebels.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Right. Oh yeah.
And
there's no doubt about that.
And I would have been, if I was like Pidge specifically, I would have been more suspicious of the Galra tech in his arm, making sure there's no trackers or anything in there. Yeah, I don't think that's been addressed at all.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So, yeah, and we'll talk about there's some stuff in the episode I'll talk about next that has to deal with talking with Shiro at the beginning of the episode.
The fallout of this, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
but yeah. I think he is a sleeper agent, and it's a long play, and he has no idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point they're only with all the episodes we've seen, they're a little over halfway through the series, I think. So there's still plenty of time for them to do something. But because in case you don't know, at this point where we're recording, season 4 has been out for a while. So
yeah,
I'm sure I'd assume we'd see season 5's probably sometime around August. I think it was August or September. Or July? Was it July? Actually,
I think it was July.
Yeah, season 3 and season 4 were pretty close together. I think they were only separated by like 3 or 4 months. So that was
as long as they stick with these 7-episode seasons. I think they're going to be able to put out these batches.
Yeah,
pretty frequently.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I think once it's all said and done, we can make the case that season 3 and 4 were just one overarching season. But I have no problem with them breaking it up. If they have 7 episodes done and get them out the door and get them into our eye holes, all for it. So I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all I got. It's a good Shiro-centric episode. And there's enough mystery.
Lots of mysteries.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that was, I guess, the episode. So thanks everyone for watching. As we said before, if you want to leave us feedback, we welcome it. We'll have links for all the stuff, all the different ways to contact us in the show notes. And I guess that is it. So thanks for watching, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.